Don't worry, guys. I already got my $1.5 million fee to be here. This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. It is 3:07 Pacific. That makes it 6:07 Eastern Time. And O The Anthem is live from coast to coast, broadcasting to you from the beautiful #OTALA studios high above the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Welcome to episode 197 of the O The Anthem podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for rating. Thank you for doing anything that you do that helps us spread our message around the globe.
Of course.
All of it is appreciated.
And keep in mind, you want to make sure that you're following along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at O The Anthem on all of those social media networks. You can find out more from O The Anthem at otheanthem.com, including links to the short film series. Is Corey Baker Filmmaker up on O The Anthem?
Yeah.
People can find a link there to all of Corey's stuff. And, of course, you can be a part of the show. Comment on the YouTube at youtube.com/OTheAnthem/live. Join us to be a part of the show. And you can comment there. We'll take your comments. Or you can text the listener line at 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. You can, of course, find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. You'll see that below. And you can find Corey
at Legend CB5.
There you go, down below.
Yeah.
So
real quick, before we get too far into it,
yeah.
I just wanted to say, while we're promoting all our shit, I just started launching the Corey Baker Filmmaker YouTube page.
Yep.
Right now, the Christmas cards, as well as an explanation video for the Christmas cards,
okay,
is up, and so is at least the first two reviews I've done for Molly's Game and I, Tanya.
Perfect.
I'm trying to add additional stuff on my personal filmmaking brand. So if you hear this, if you enjoy what we do, and you would be oh so kind, you can go and subscribe to Corey Baker on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And you can find all that on otheanthem.com, and I will put the link in the show notes.
Perfect. All right. And we do have a lot to get to, as you can see today. There's a lot of craziness, but before we jump into it, one more reminder, make sure that you are clicking through the link on the Amazon link on otheanthem.com. I know a lot of people probably got Amazon cards for Christmas, and they're looking how to spend that money. You're going to go to Amazon. You can click through the link at otheanthem.com. It costs you nothing extra, but as a thank you for us sending you there, Amazon gives us a little something.
And since you got all this free gift card money, the least you can do is go buy The Calls by Robert N. Cheek,
which is also available on Amazon.
Yeah.
I had a really funny incident today, this week, where everyone at work finally discovered that I was
a published author.
It was very weird. So we were having a conversation about dismembering a body, and I just happen to have some knowledge about that particular subject matter. So I happened to be holding these hedge clippers at the time, and I was like, yeah, no, these are good for taking.
You just walked through the office with this.
Well, so I was clipping some things.
You're just like, if somebody doesn't give me a fucking coffee.
But I was walking through holding these things, and somebody was like, oh, isn't that funny? It's like the least dangerous thing ever. And then one of my closer friends at the office was like, oh, so you don't know about the book? And I was like, oh, God, here we go. So then I go off to do what I have to do with the hedge clippers, and I come back. They're all circled around one computer reading the description for Faux. And they're like, I had no idea. I don't even know what to say about that. And I'm like, well, check out the book. And you should all check out the books as well. They're all available on Amazon. And make sure you're clicking through the link at otheanthem.com.
One other quick thing about writing and
yes.
you, while we're thinking about it. We had somebody over here who was expressed to us the idea that they wanted to write a book at one point. Mm-hmm. And then I always find this interesting when you go like, well, Rob's published 4 books now.
Yeah.
And then you expect the person to turn around and go like, oh my God, please tell me everything about this experience and how it went and how you wrote the book and how you published it. And, like, what do you do when you get to cover, all those little intricate questions. Yeah. It's just like, well, Rob's published 4 books. And she's just like, oh, yeah, okay. And then on to
the next.
Ask the person who's been there before.
I will never understand that, but it's the same everywhere. And everyone's just like, oh, well, the best response I got is like, oh, well, it's probably easier for you. And I'm just like, why? Why would it be easier for me to do that than anyone else? I mean, I could still tell you how to do things.
Yeah.
To remind everyone who hasn't been watching the show for the last 4 years, by the way, coming up on 4 years of us doing this program, when I sent out my first, text or my first manuscript out, I got 5 responses in 48 hours, and I got 20 responses in the first week. So maybe I know a thing or two about writing books.
Yeah.
Maybe Maybe you should talk to me.
Perhaps he knows what's going on.
Maybe you shouldn't tell me what
Yeah.
the publishing community is about. Maybe you should just listen to the things that I have to say.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, check out the books. They're on Amazon. Anyway,
onto the actual topics of the day.
Right. So obviously, you guys know that we are based here in California. The hashtag OTLA Studios, high above the 110 in downtown Los Angeles, California. It has been a crazy time in California over the last few weeks.
Yes.
So I got calls from my parents about the wildfires a few weeks ago, and finally, having been at home in Maryland and spending a little time and basically pulling up Google Maps and being like, okay, here's where the fires are.
Yeah.
And here's where I am. And you see all of this concrete and blacktop between me and the fire.
Yeah.
That stuff don't burn. So I'm going to be okay. Don't worry about it.
It's kind of like, I think I explained this to somebody in Maryland, like, you live in, like if you live in the shore, it's like the fires in Colombia.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of things that keep the fire from getting to where you are.
Now, we are a little closer than that.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying like
but the
in terms
bay
of,
being in the way,
right.
the highway, everything. Yeah, basically the same. So now the new thing is, of course, are the mudslides anywhere near you? And I have to go back and say, do you remember when we looked at the map and how I'm just nothing but blacktop and concrete around me?
Where the fires were is where the mudslides are, essentially.
Which is probably why that there are mudslides.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's exactly why there's mudslides. The fire has caused a lot of stuff to accumulate on the hills that
devegetation.
Yeah. Which becomes the essence of the mudslides. So.
And then we get 2 days of rain.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Thank you. Listen, we haven't seen that much rain since we first moved here.
Yeah.
Corey,
We're still waiting for our key from the city, Garcetti, by the way.
for saving us from the drought.
Yeah.
But I
know you're really busy with the homeless problem.
I remember Corey building this up and being like, oh, well, listen, it's great. You're never going to have to worry about rain. And then the first month we were here, it rained like every third day.
It's like San Francisco.
Yeah, it was basically the same.
San Francisco instead.
But thank you guys for all your kind words. We are nowhere near mudslides. We don't have to worry about any of that. One thing we do have to worry about is apparently a strain of flu in California has killed 20 people.
Yeah.
And I'm slightly concerned about that. Because despite the liberal leave policy at offices in California and California in general, people just go to work sick.
Yeah.
Because you want to use your sick days for things.
Coachella.
For Coachella. You want to call in sick on Friday so you can go to Coachella Thursday night and stay the whole weekend.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah. So you go to work sick just so you save those days for a later date. So I am slightly concerned about flu because I worked in very close quarters with a bunch of people. But apparently, this is a nationwide thing. Until we're getting ready for the show, I didn't realize that like this flu is a serious deal. It's killing people all over the place, and we are not healthy people.
No,
I mean, we're trying to get more healthy.
I mean, we went to gym 4 times this week, so
well, I went 5. I went every day this week, and I'll go again today. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a very healthy person, and you can hear the coughing that's already happening. That's just cigarettes. That's not sickness, but. I am slightly concerned about the flu, and I guess we'll have to keep you posted. Next time we have a show, if you see Corey with the Snapchat filter mask,
yeah,
and he's just talking through the mic, then you'll know it's because I'm sick. And
or if I'm inside of a bubble.
Yes, yeah. But that could go one of 2 ways, because it may be because of me or maybe because Rachel has brought something from her office. So who knows?
True.
Who's to say? But yeah, so thank you for all your kind words, guys. We are okay, which is not what we can say about the people in Hawaii, unfortunately.
No.
So we are closer to Hawaiian time than most of the people who are checking out this show. Thank you to all our West Coast viewers, but obviously we have a strong support on the East Coast. And I woke up this morning to the news of the emergency alert that went out in Hawaii this morning to everyone. Now, this one said, ballistic missile inbound on Hawaii. Take shelter. This is not a drill.
Yeah. Turns out it was a drill.
Well, it turns out it wasn't a drill.
Mistake.
It was a mistake. But my first reaction upon getting that is to find myself a fresh pair of pants. And then the second thing is to go and figure out what the hell I'm going to do. And we've talked before about what we would do in an earthquake or if a nuclear bomb went off here. But the reality of your phone, and for those of you who don't understand this, imagine the Amber Alerts that plague everyone.
Yeah.
In fact, when we were in Maryland, I got Amber Alerts. And it's weird because it's like, here, it's Amber Alert on the 5. And you're like, all right, well, that's in the relative zone of where I am. I get that. But I get like Columbia, gray, silver alert. And I'm like, I'm in Ridgely.
Yeah.
What possible use is this going to have for me? But imagine like...
the old guy in the car going like, I'm going to the beach.
Yeah. But imagine
You see him at the Royal Farm, you're like, hey, that's a Silver Alert.
I think that's the Silver Alert guy. I mean, he's in his underwear and he's driving a Mercedes. If I remember, that's the alert. But imagine that you're sleeping soundly and your phone gives off that annoying Amber Alert notice, which goes off no matter what you set your phone to.
Yeah.
There's no way to turn that off. And it's ballistic missile inbound, take cover or take shelter. This is not a drill.
Yeah.
What would your initial reaction be?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Probably. That would probably be my initial reaction.
Okay, yeah. And I think that was the initial reaction of everyone.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is seeing the tweets of people coming out, like people who somehow slept through it. And I don't know how you do that. Maybe people who have.
I've worried sometimes that I'll wake up and all my shit will be like on the ground, like there was an earthquake that I just slept through.
Right.
Like it's one of my, not a fear, but it's like one of the things that like I'm waiting one day for me to wake up and like look and it looks like somebody like broke into the apartment and was like rifling through shit.
One of the frames above your bed is stabbing directly into the mattress right next to you.
I'm sticking through a frame like
Right.
like an old cartoon.
How did this happen? Didn't even wake me up. But I imagine that there are responsible people out there who have some humanity left who don't sleep with their phones in bed with them. I'm not one of those people. I sleep with the phone in bed with me.
Yeah.
So it would certainly wake me up. But can you imagine like, oh, I'm going to go out to the kitchen and get a cup of coffee. I'll take my phone off the charger and ballistic missile alert. And then messages from family members like, what is this? Oh, my God. Call me right now. Take cover. I love you.
Yeah.
Like you used the example when we were doing our pre-show talk about like the calls from the planes on 9/11.
Yeah.
Where like it goes to voicemail and you just leave this voicemail. Just if you only had a few minutes and 18 minutes, let's say, to do what you had to do.
20 minutes, by the way, is the average time it would take for a missile to be fired from North Korea to Hawaii.
Yeah. So
you have roughly 20 minutes to get the fucking cover.
And keep in mind that they would do a
and
test.
Stay there for fucking days.
Probably days.
While the fallout.
Yeah. But keep in mind, they wouldn't give you the alert when the missile launched because they launch a lot of missiles.
Yeah.
It would be they launch and then we take 9 minutes to figure out the trajectory and where is it going. And okay, it's Hawaii. Put out the alert. So you have maybe 10 minutes to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life because it may be the rest of your life. 10 minutes may be the rest of your life, which is insane. But come to find out, it was an accident, of course. At a shift change, someone hit the wrong button.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I don't want to tell anybody how to do their jobs. I mean, not that we don't do that a lot.
I'm so questionable about like this button. Like, is it like right next to the everything's fine button? And just like, hey, make sure you hit the everything's fine button before your shift's over. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, is it on a big desk and somebody like is flirting with the secretary and sits their coffee on top of it? Like, how is it that you accidentally hit this button?
I feel like there should be a failsafe. Like,
why is there not a cover over the button?
Facebook asked me if I'm sure before I delete my account. There should be a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, like,
there should be at least 3 prompts. Like, are you sure there's a nuclear missile coming towards Hawaii?
Yes.
You gotta understand, a lot of people are gonna be freaking the fuck out. Are you positive this is right?
Yes. Now the alert goes out.
Are you sure? Like with the 8 U's?
Right, yeah. And then it's like, hit the all fine button if you're absolutely sure. All fine.
Yeah.
Because that way you throw it off. You can't just be
hitting the same button over and over again.
Now, you think that they would have some kind of... And here is the difference between Corey and I. Corey is a regular human being, and he looks for the silver lining. What is the silver lining in all of this, Corey?
Well, I was saying that... I said silver lining only to illustrate that maybe, in some small way, this terrible situation could have a little tiny bit of good. And I was thinking about people who... a lot of people moved to Hawaii to like sort of escape what their life was like wherever they were originally from.
Right.
So perhaps there's people this morning who are reaching out to people that they haven't talked to or, wanted to like, hey, Dad, I'm sorry that,
you
we
were an asshole,
grew apart.
Yeah. You're an asshole, but I should have reached out before now. But now I'm going to die.
So I love you, and please don't hate me forever and know that I didn't carry this with me to my death or whatever. Right. I don't know exactly what I would do. I think my number one concern would be find cover as quickly as possible. I wouldn't worry about calling people or like, I would worry about like the people here.
Yeah.
Like I definitely like knock on your door and make sure you're up.
Meanwhile, I've already left the apartment. Yeah. No thought of anyone else but my own safety. I've dressed and left the apartment.
I look at my phone and it's just like 15 minutes ago. Expect nuclear bomb in 10 minutes. Well, fuck.
More importantly, Rachel also rolls out. She's like, Rachel and I are in the bomb shelter. She's like, I tried to wake him. I don't know what else I could have done. I shook him. He said, no, mommy, I don't want to go to school.
Meanwhile, if Rachel wasn't waking up, I would literally pull the mattress. Like, you would see me shimmying down the hallway with the mattress.
Pulling her to safety.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she's like, hey, nuclear bomb, wake up. I'm like, what? And you're like, oh, I tried.
Okay.
I did what I can.
My own safety. Or she gets called.
Now to sign up for Tinder again.
Or she gets caught up in sending messages to all her family members, which would take 25 hours.
Yeah.
And the bomb would go off and she would just be stuck. But luckily.
Well, because she's got to answer all the texts. That's just like, well, besides the nuclear bomb, how's everything going?
Right.
Oh, great.
Besides that. But so, yes, human beings have a inherent desire to find the silver lining, and Corey is a human being, and he looks for the silver lining. And not so much silver lining, but like, what positive can we find in this horrific situation?
Yeah.
Like in the
which is really
hurricanes and the floods in Houston, where we're like, look at people banding together, ignoring race, ignoring their poverty level, and just saying, you are a human, and I want to help save you. Yes, everything's horrible, but we can look at that and say, there's some positives from this.
Yeah.
So when the nuclear bomb is coming towards Hawaii, we can look at it and say, maybe some families were brought back together.
I think the construction across the street is literally shaking the building. Do you feel that?
I feel that. Either that or we're having an earthquake right now live on the show.
We're having small tremors.
But if you see the lights flickering, yeah, something's happening right now.
Oh, no.
Hang on, let me check Earthquake Bot.
Rachel, cover up.
Nothing new from Earthquake Bot.
It's going to take a solid 10 minutes probably before.
Yeah.
I was wondering if we were going to. You know, the funny thing, too, is I was wondering, like, are we going to be on a podcast one day and the earthquake hits?
The big one. What if the big one hit while we're live?
And then we're going to have to go run and just like, fuck you all.
Or
the live stream continues without us there. Thousands of people watching, waiting for the next move. Yeah, it's really...
I don't know what's going on. It might be
there is construction going on next door.
Not next door. Across the highway.
Yeah.
They're building a duplicate building to our building. Go ahead. I'll fill some time. They're building a duplicate building to our building across the highway. And if you follow me on Instagram, at Robert N. Cheek, you'll see that I posted a picture from The People versus O.J. Simpson where it showed... wow. What is going on? Where it showed the build, and I took a screenshot of the building and said, hey, that's right across from our apartment. And they're actually demolishing that building and putting up a new apartment complex. So it may be that their construction is shaking the foundation of our building.
I think the actual shaking is making the batteries come loose.
Yeah, on our lights. So sorry about that, guys, if the lights are a little weird. But, wow, this is a weird thing to happen live on the show.
Yeah.
But it's too long to be an earthquake, so it has to be the construction. So we'll soldier on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the alert went out, and then
it does feel rhythmic too. Like I have my foot on the ground, and I can feel like the
yeah, which would be also an earthquake.
I guess
it'd be wavy, so it's the same rhythmic sensing. It's a very long earthquake. It is, or it's the big one, and we're breaking off into the Pacific Ocean. The internet's still good though, so we are all right. The stream is live. If you guys are hearing
that's all that matters.
If you're hearing this on Tuesday, I'm sure this is like anticlimactic. But if you go and watch the video on YouTube, like you can see us being like,
what is happening right now? We're slightly shaking.
Yeah,
the lights are all crazy. That one in particular, that one just hates us right now.
Yeah, But everything seems to be fine on the video, so we're fine.
Yeah.
So moving on. So yes, 38 minutes went by before they had the alert. Some of the most tragic things I've seen are the people getting text messages like, yeah, I have family who lives in Hawaii, and they're sending me messages like, where are you? Please answer the phone. I love you. You know, if this is it, it's it. You know, I can't even wrap my mind around the concept of what that must be like. I'm sure it was horrible. Corey went to the very absolute positive, which was, hey, maybe we can find some good that comes out of this. Like, families get back together. My thought process was, what if this is North Korea testing and seeing what we would do when the ballistic missile alert comes in? So that basically tells you what you need to know about our two personalities. I still think that maybe the government's telling us that it was an accident, that it was a button that was hit. It's hard to believe that there is a single button that you push and an emergency alert goes out like that. But
if that's the case, I'm more mad at the people who designed the button than I am the guy who pressed it.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's like, have you ever worked at a place that had a emergency alert button under the desk?
yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you see that button there that you might accidentally push with your foot? Don't, because that will summon the police.
Yeah.
That's our robbery alarm. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you put it on the floor under my desk? That makes no sense. Like, but anyway.
There was once where at Nelson's we had a robbery button, right? Mm-hmm. But it was the type of thing that you had to actually like push in, so you couldn't like hit it by accident.
Right. Yeah.
It had a cover on it, so you couldn't just like rub against it. Right. You would have to actually put the pressure in. And I remember there was a new cashier who was just like, "What does this do?" and just pushed it. And then because the police station was literally right around the corner, within like 2 minutes, police were storming in like it was an actual like terrorist attack. They were just like, move, 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 move. And they're like going into every room and securing it and going like, "Where's the robbery? Where's the robbery? Where's the robbery?"
Dumb new person. That's all.
We apologize, officers. If you would like to have yourself a pulled pork while you're here, we can't possibly.
And knowing Baltimore County, there was probably 30 or 40 of them because they had nothing better to do. They all storming in.
Yeah, they were all at other barbecue places just having lunch.
But so I guess we'll see. My theory again is that North Korea hacked and sent out the message. I guess we'll see how people react or whether more news comes out. I'm sure the next week will be spent discussing whether or not how this happened and how we can avoid it and making the situation better, as the way that we always do. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that that does any good. I feel like, not to use a Trumpism, which I feel bad in using, but it's like maybe not give the game plan out to the people who might be bombing us.
Yeah.
Although, as we discussed, not on the show notes this week, but it looks like, I'm not going to give them credit for it, but in the Trump era, North and South Korea may come to some sort of lasting peace. Yeah. So I'm not going to give them credit for doing
all
that.
Based off of how much they hate Trump.
Yeah, everybody hates Trump, so basically everyone hate America, and let's be friends because we all hate America. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
So let's all be friends. But speaking of a bunch of friends, the Golden Globes were held this week in L.A.
It was such a cheery, wonderful, smiley time at the Golden Globes.
Do you think it wasn't?
I think that it felt awfully tense.
Well, yes. And Natalie Portman didn't do anything to help the tenseness, especially with Guillermo sitting in the front row right there.
One would argue that the Golden Globes didn't, or the Hollywood Foreign Press Association didn't do anything to ease the tenseness by nominating 5 men to direct.
But in a year where there was a fantastic variety.
That being said, I will say this. I haven't seen all the films for Best Director.
Oh, we need to see Shape of Water today. That's what we should go see.
But
okay.
I would have given Greta Gerwig the push over Spielberg.
Yeah.
But I feel like they put Spielberg in there because they have to.
He's Spielberg.
Yeah.
And he was directing Hanks and Streep. So, of course, he's going to go in.
But, I mean, like, as far as, like, a directing job goes, I appreciated Gerwig's more than I did Spielberg's. But I don't know if she would have necessarily won either.
Well,
you know?
And see, it's not that, though. It's about being nominated. It's about being in the running.
Right.
Because she had the Best Actress. She had the Best Picture. She had a nominee for Best Supporting Actor and Best Screenplay.
Yeah.
But she did not get the nomination for Best Director.
No.
Once again, it was a group of 4 white men. And
5.
No. Guillermo del Toro's. And
Well, yeah, I'm sorry.
How dare you do what everyone in Hollywood does to Guillermo? He is a Latino man.
I heard man and didn't hear the white part.
Yes, but it was 4 white men and Guillermo del Toro, who, by the way, I'm not 100% sure the Hollywood Foreign Press doesn't know isn't a white man. Because,
That's an awfully weird name for a white guy.
Oh, well. Wait, pull up his picture.
I guess we do have a Shersha, and she's white too.
Yeah, so who knows?
Maybe he's from another one of those weird ass countries. What, Ireland?
We're gonna get to that. Hold on. But yeah, so what were your thoughts overall about the Golden Globes? So, of course, by the way, we watched the Golden Globes. We didn't watch the Critics' Choice Awards. Is there a reason that wasn't on your agenda to watch?
I forgot that it was happening.
Oh, okay. Well.
I also don't care that much about what the critics have to say.
Sure.
I mean, I don't really care what the Golden Globes have to say either, but at least it's like it's the AAA movie awards of the year.
Right.
The major league one is obviously the Oscars, but I mean, like, as far as like a combination of it's AAA for both the Oscars and the Emmys.
Right. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, because it does both TV and movies. I feel like I would not want to be Jimmy Kimmel hosting the Oscars.
Oh,
now I know
Seth
you
Meyers, though, did a good job.
I thought he did fine, but there was a lot of jokes that just did not go. The room was not ready for any jokes about any of this.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, the culture.
Yeah,
all of them seem to fall pretty flat. By the way, I wonder if Seth Meyers knew that it was going to be Time's Up night and everyone's going to be dressed in black before he had them write the jokes. Because maybe I would go a different direction if I knew that the theme of the night was
I feel like some of the jokes he thought were not about the incidents, but rather about the... So, like, the one joke he made that I remember about Harvey that he made was Harvey, who is not going to be mentioned on another award show until his death in 20 years or something like that.
No, he'll be the first person
to be booed during his in memoriam. Yeah. Which isn't a joke about anything that he's done, just his general character. And that one didn't get, like, a rosy appeal. Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
And usually the Golden Globes are a little bit more loose and a little... Like, everyone's drinking.
Yeah.
So... But this Golden Globes felt way more like it felt like a living memorial to somebody in a way, like just the way that it was the aura of the room, I guess.
Yeah. Hard room, and then the Oscars are going to be a little harder because they're not drinking all night.
Yeah,
and
I'll say that I with Natalie Portman's part, I totally get where she came from. She had every right to. Be upset about that and say something. I feel really bad for Guillermo del Toro though, just being the first person that they show right after that moment. Like, what is your reaction? Like I didn't do that. Like,
I don't.
Like, all I did was follow my dream and make a film and get nominated for it. I had nothing to do with. Yeah, I had nothing to do with the nominations. I had nothing to do with who's here with me or anything like that. Like,
and. I will say I think he handled his speech well because I don't know that he threw in the comments about the women who support him and the women who have always been behind him and the women who helped him make the film. But I want to say that was in the original speech.
Yeah.
That he was already going to do that. And it wasn't to address Natalie Portman's thing. So,
yeah, I think it was there. I imagine it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, are you voting for Oprah for president? I mean, clearly, this is what we've all set up for. I mean...
Okay, people. Can I just... Oh, damn it.
We go through all the steps trying to keep that from happening.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So I want you guys to look at me dead in the eyes. Here's what we're going to do. The situation we are in currently is because we elected a showman, someone who is famous for being on TV and for being rich, to be... President of the United States. We didn't nominate him to be President of the United States. We nominated him as a candidate, and then he became President of the United States. The answer to this is not to nominate another famous rich person to be President of the United States. Not just a famous rich person that we like better than the current famous rich person, but to not nominate a famous rich person is the answer here. To nominate Barack Obama, but not him because he can't run again.
Yeah.
And as he made clear on David Letterman's show, he wouldn't, even if he could, because Michelle would divorce him.
Yeah.
But let's find somebody who has some state experience, some governing experience, a statesman. Let's find us an Alexander Hamilton. Let's find us
Alexander Hamilton.
let's find us a Thomas Jefferson. A modern version of those two people, not that.
The slave-owning ones?
Not the slave-owning ones, and not the...
It'd be weird to
ones.
still own slaves today.
Yeah, and not the ones who thought that all men being created equal meant all white landowning men. Not that part. Listen, 1%ers, just shut up for a second. I'm saying, let's find a guy who inspires. Let's find a Lincoln. Let's find a Teddy Roosevelt. Let's find a Franklin Roosevelt. Let's find somebody who fucking inspires us to be a better nation and not just vote for a famous rich person. Because in the end, this is what it comes down to. Oprah had to deal with this week people posting pictures of her and Harvey Weinstein and her and Donald Trump. And if you remember during the campaign, there were all the pictures of Hillary and Donald Trump at the same events. This is what you don't understand. This is all the same group of people. Barack Obama was not in that group of people.
Yeah.
George Bush was. Bill Clinton was. Hillary Clinton was. Jeb Bush was. I guess for what it's worth, the first Bush was. Ronald Reagan was a movie star. He certainly was. Go back to maybe Jimmy Carter, a guy who was just like, man, I'm just trying to do good for my country.
People didn't know who Jimmy Carter was before he ran.
Yeah, he was and they didn't know Bill Clinton either, but he was in the power, the back end power that nobody saw.
Right.
He was the head of the governor's convention.
Yeah.
The American Governors Convention. But go back to Jimmy Carter and let's find Jimmy Carter. Let's find a guy. He doesn't have to be a governor of a southern state. Let's just find a governor somewhere or senator or anyone who is a political statesman who isn't in the group that's in control right now. And by the way, it might get a little easier because it looks like half of Congress is not running for re-election next year. So,
well, by the way, also another thing, you will find this with everybody who is not in current politics when there becomes a sniff that they might run. Hillary, after leaving as Secretary of State and becoming a private citizen for a while, prior to running, her approval numbers were not huge, but big for her.
Yeah.
She had vast approval as opposed to unapproval. Trump, prior to announcing, had huge approval amongst pretty much everyone to run.
Yeah.
Oprah right now has the same sort of thing. Like there's not a lot of people who like hate Oprah. There is certainly a pocket of it, but not.
It's hard to hate Oprah.
It's hard to hate Oprah.
Yeah, you really have to be a racist.
But the problem is, it's really hard to hate Oprah until she goes out and she starts campaigning for president. And then she says, well, you know what? Drone strikes are a way we keep our citizens from getting killed. And then you're just like, Oprah doesn't give a shit about the Middle East. And Oprah wants to kill 14-year-old kids to get one fucking terrorist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's when those numbers start going down. Oprah hasn't had to publicly go on her show and be like, I think that a woman's right to choose is important.
In fact, she avoids that.
The second she said something like that, half the country turns on her.
Yeah.
So
the reason she's got a 90% approval rating is because her entire life has been, hey, you pro-abortion, hey, you anti-abortion, let's come on my show.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be in the middle, and I have no opinion about this whatsoever.
Right.
Like, listen, maybe she's been with Gayle for the last 20 years. Maybe she hasn't. Maybe Stedman's a beard. Maybe he's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my point is, she hasn't had to answer the tough questions. And this is the problem we had with Donald Trump. You put him out there, and he started answering the questions, and he riled up all of this shit that had been not dormant, but certainly not public.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bunch of guys
under the shadows.
Yeah, a bunch of guys in a bar in Memphis, Tennessee are talking like this, but you give them the motivation to go out and talk like that in person.
Yeah.
In public, in front of other people. What we don't need is another famous person who we don't know their position on stuff. What we do need is somebody who we understand where they stand. And not Hillary Clinton, please God. And Martin O'Malley, not you either. You stay home too.
There has to be let's transition to sort of talks about the government shutdown here because it sort of ties in.
Yeah.
But every single time that you have a non-serious candidate up on that stage, it takes time away from the people who could really do something.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, in the Democratic Party, in 2016, Jim Webb, Martin O'Malley, the other guy
From Nebraska,
Lincoln Chafee. Lincoln Chafee all got out at Iowa.
Yeah.
They all realized the writing was on the wall. Got out at least by the Iowa primary. Left Bernie and Hillary, but then the Democrats fucked that all up. Now we're in a new position.
See all episodes between 120 and 140
Yeah, pretty
for
much.
our discussion on that.
Now we're in a new place where the Democrats are trying to get a government spending bill through. The Republicans and the Democrats are.
Yeah.
But the Democrats are in the negotiating position of trying to save DACA, get CHIP financed, and half a dozen other things that the Democrats haven't quite zoned in on yet.
It's like Occupy, but they're running our damn government.
I know.
They just don't know what they want. They just know that they want to be heard. That's it.
They just want things. They don't know how they're going to get them. But the problem is that one person is just going to you're going to be negotiating, and like Feinstein's going to be down the hall with McConnell going like, okay, so we're going to do this, this, and this. And then she goes back to the rest of the members who've already decided on something else. And it's like, no, we have a big... Yeah. That's the problem. There's no communication. They're all terrible.
By the way,
all terrible at making a plan.
You have to be 35 to be elected to the Senate. And no one imagined when they were forming this country that someone would serve from the age of 40 to the age of 90 in the Senate. The idea was you go in for a term or two, maybe 3, and then you step down. You're the elder statesman at 3 terms, and you help bring up the next generation so that things stay young. We don't have that. We have mostly elder statesmen in their 70s and 80s who are all millionaires, by the way, and they're negotiating with each other. And as much as Corey has this firm core belief that this is about the people, it's not about the people. It's just about them. There are 536 egos in Washington that need to be stroked. And once we get enough of them stroked, then something is going to get done. But in the end, average people who are watching this, who are on Social Security disability or Social Security or get any kind of government benefit or work for the government for that matter, you will be sent home without pay, and there will be no apologies for that. And you will suffer because these 536 people can't take their heads out of their asses long enough to do something good for America. Now, not a party thing. I've mentioned all the members because you're right. Feinstein will go in there and want something specific and not get it. And McConnell will go something in there specific, and it will throw the entire negotiations off the rails. And what we're looking at is on Friday, the Friday after you listen to this, you will hear this on the 15th, that Friday, the 19th. The government is poised to shut down because it's not funded. Now, maybe they pass a continuing resolution, what we call CR, and they fund the government for another month so they can talk about it more. But Trump has said he will veto anything that doesn't include payment for the wall and that addresses DACA. Yeah. And the Democrats have to decide what hill they're willing to die on. Are you willing to go and say now that we're going to say no to DACA and we're not funding the wall? By the way, the wall that Mexico was supposed to pay for. Right. Don't know where that went. But they have to take a stand and say no, and here are the things that we're willing to offer. This is what we want to support your spending bill, and make the Republicans decide whether or not they're going to give it to them or not, or give in, which is what they've done thus far, and just let things slide. And you made an interesting point in the pre-show meeting that nobody wants this. Nobody wants a shutdown. You're right. Average Americans, 300 million of us, nobody wants a government shutdown. But none of that matters. None of us wanted the tax cut either, and that went through with flying colors.
See, here's the problem. We like to, as people who have opinions, think that if we vote for the party that most closely aligns with those opinions, we're going to get those kind of results. But the problem is that's not how it happens, because there are things that like the tax bill was overwhelmingly opposed by the American people. Yeah. It had like 15% support or something like that. Net neutrality is supported by 83% of Americans. DACA is supported by somewhat similar, like 82% or something like that. Yep. And just recently, I just was pulling this up while you were talking, the extending the FISA Act, which would allow for more wiretapping of American citizens. Yeah. 191 Republicans and 65 Democrats. Yeah. So the people that you go out there and say, like, so for instance, Debbie Wasserman Schultz voted for that.
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi in Maryland, Ruppersberger did it. None of these people are looking out for your best interests. I feel like most Democrats and most Republicans, really, this issue has to be somewhere in the same like 80% range.
Most average people.
Yeah, most average people say that the government shouldn't be spying on its own citizens, but yet 191 Republicans and 65 Democrats just allowed that to happen.
Yep.
So where's your moral outrage? And then, of course, there was Trump, who was outraged at first when he realized that the thing that was used to spy against him in the transition was being voted to be renegotiated, and then he found out that he needs to be on the side of it.
Yeah, and he changed quickly.
And he's just like, no, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the other part, but the FISA should go through. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just, you know what? Adam Schiff was another one, too.
Yeah.
So, guess what? If I was a member of Adam Schiff's
if you lived in his district?
Lived in his district. Yeah. I was a constituent. That's the one I was looking for. If I was a constituent of Adam Schiff, that would be my no vote for him.
Yeah.
That's it. And you got to make it clear to these people that there are now more than ever, there's more issues that will make me not vote for you.
Right.
And
fortunately,
you have to stand up for what I want as a constituent.
Now you don't even have to call your congressman. Just text it to one of your friends, and they'll already know. So, but no, and that's the thing I don't understand. This is the flaw, and I've been saying all along that this is the flaw with the two-party system, is that people are skewed towards the one that's more like them, and you're not realizing that they're two wings of the same party.
Yeah.
There is a conservative wing, and there is a liberal wing, but this party is center-right to begin with. So the liberal Democrats aren't that liberal. And if you skew to the Democratic Party instead of going off and finding another alternative, which there are no good ones, and I understand that, the Green Party, not really a great alternative. The Libertarian Party seems like a good alternative until you realize that there's a lot of Nazis in there.
Well, I mean, the Libertarian Party's a wonderful... I align myself, I guess, more as a libertarian than I do anything else.
Don't color me surprised after my previous comment. But go ahead.
I align myself as a libertarian more than I do anything else. And it's one of those great, in theory, it works kind of things, but it's much like communism or socialism, where it's like, in theory, yes, this should work. But in practice, it often ends up being a hilarious debacle.
Let's pause. Capitalism.
Yes. Oh, I'm not saying
capitalism really works.
I'm not saying socialism or communism is better or worse than anything else. I'm just saying that everyone whenever they have the idea of socialism or communism, says this is going to be a brand new world where everybody is taken care of and everybody, like there's nobody's better than anybody else, and we're all in the same boat together, and we're going as a community forward. Yeah. And fast forward to 20 years where you have a hysterical dictator and people waiting in line for bread and starving children and it's still a rich upper class of communism. And
are we talking about communism or are we talking about America under capitalism? I can't really understand. Because if you've been listening this week, what you would have heard is our hysterical dictator calling 70% of the globe shithole countries. Yeah. And of course, not denying it because he knew that there was evidence that he actually said it and he couldn't deny it, but basically ignoring it. So if you haven't been following the news, the commentary was...
Congratulations.
God, I wish I was you.
The problem is news finds me. I could literally just not have CNN on all day. I could just live my life. And then out of nowhere, my phone will just start ringing and it'll be like a news alert and it'll just be like, Trump decided to punch orphans in the face. I'm just like, why the hell would you do that?
But
what good does this come?
Did you just break your phone?
No.
Okay.
It just came down a little hard. I was just making sure.
But yeah, so in a meeting about after the morning meetings with Norway, in meetings about the immigration reform, Trump allegedly, I'll say allegedly to be nice, but let's be honest, he said it. He said that
there's people who are confirming he said it. So.
And by the way, people who also confirmed that although he stepped back on the comments, he then furthered those comments with close people in the administration and said, oh yeah, no, I definitely said it. And I meant it. I meant every word of it. But basically said, why would we want more people from Haiti and Africa and those shithole countries? First, Africa, Not a country. It's a continent. There's a lot of countries
Also,
in Africa.
it's why do we get so many people from shithole countries?
Yes.
Why don't we get more people like from Norway?
And why don't we get more people from Norway?
Well, number one, Norway seems to be an all right place to be to begin with.
Well, it's really cold.
Yeah.
If it wasn't cold, I would move there because it has the highest standard of living in the world. It has the happiest population in the world.
Yeah.
Your average median income, $97,000.
Also, fun fact, second least desirable immigrant. The immigrants from Norway,
that's right,
are less likely to contribute positively to your economy,
Right.
and make the country better. Only Portugal is worse. I don't know why Portugal would be the second worst, or would be the worst. But
Watch some Family Guy episodes. They have some opinions of the Portuguese. But so you make $97,000 a year median. By the way, in the United States, that is $18,000 a year. We're number one. Free healthcare. Mm-hmm. The public sector takes care of a lot of things like great public transportation. Social security network. If you get injured, if you get fired, you're basically always taken care of. And their homelessness is at zero. Their joblessness is at zero. Their jails are empty because there's basically no crime. It is a frozen heaven. And if it weren't at the top of the world, I would love to move there. But I live in LA and I don't like the cold, so I'm not going to move there. Norway, if you want to maybe invade, I don't know, Morocco and just set up a new government there, I'd be fine with that.
by the way, just so everybody Rob said a lot of great things about Norway.
Yeah.
And all of them are true. But Norway also has less of a population than Los Angeles does.
True.
So
yes, the entire country.
It is a little bit easier to corral 6 million people than it is.
And they are all Norwegian, which means they are Nordic and white, and they all look the same. And
Also, when you were running through all their average thing is 97, and all that, I was just like, it made me flash back to the one Leo line from West Wing, where it's just like, did you know that Norway has a 100% literacy rate? That's incredible. And it's like, well, maybe they don't, and they just can't count too.
Anyway. There's also a dating app in Norway to make sure that you're not too closely related. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, it's such a small homogeneous population that they have to have a dating app. So anyway,
what a time to be alive.
Norway is not great immigrants, and it's a great place to live, so people don't immigrate anyway. I think that the numbers I heard was that it was 630 some people from Norway of the 20,000 immigrants that we had last year. And some stories came out recently, and I don't want to use the hero complex where we use heroic examples of people, because everyone who emigrates from the Central America, from the Caribbean, from Africa, I think they're all good people. Unlike the president who called them murderers and rapists, I think that they are all good people looking for a better life. But there was a fire in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, a week ago, where a immigrant from Ghana went back into the fire 5 times and saved 4 people. And the last time he didn't make it out. He went in to save someone else and died in the effort. We have seen images of Haitian nationals who are immigrants here who have served in the military, who went to Iraq. People in El Salvador who were the first country to sign up for the war in Iraq when George W. Bush asked for allies to join us. They sent thousands of soldiers to fight with us in Iraq. But these are horrible people from shithole countries. And I tweeted about it on Founding Future on Twitter. But check out Mike Duncan's talk about the Haitian Revolution, and you'll get an idea why Haiti is so poor. And there's been a lot of discussion about that. But in the end, Haiti and a lot of the Caribbean and Central American and African countries are poor because a lot of Western countries went in, took out all the wealth, and then left the country there with a bunch of debt.
Yeah.
And then we say, hey, why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? But we took all the gold out of the ground and then didn't pay them for it. And then said, hey, we'd love to give you some money, but you have to pay us back at 10% interest, accruing daily. And they could never pay that back.
Also, they had a massive earthquake.
Well, in Haiti's case, yes.
And there was a lot of money raised to try and help save all the people who have had their lives ruined by the earthquake. And then Haiti almost got none of that money. And
we gave him cholera.
Yeah.
So
there's that.
Yeah. I
never thought of any other country as a shithole country. I would say I don't want to live in some country, but
Sure.
that's not.
What country would you not want to live in? Norway, because it's fucking cold. Denmark.
Well, I mean,
because it's fucking
I
cold.
could do it. I'm more used to the cold than you are, but
True, I would not like it. England, because it's rainy. I like sunny. So.
I can't think of like a country that like off the top of my head that I wouldn't want to live in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's ones that I just would not be as. I'm sure I would grow to love certain aspects of almost anywhere.
Sure.
But like I don't imagine I'd want to live in like India.
Why?
It's just too crowded, too much.
Okay. All right.
Like I sort of
Too many smelly Indian people. I get it. Yeah, I hear you.
I would be more likely to want to live in some sort of metropolis somewhere,
like New Delhi.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like I would rather live in a metropolis like Los Angeles or Tokyo or London or New York or something like that, as opposed to New Delhi where it's very very fucking tight.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. You don't like Indian people. I get it.
It's not like the worldwide superpower that I imagine in the cities that I like.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, you like. Clearly, you have a fetish for Asian girls, which is why you pick Tokyo, and otherwise, it's lily white places all across the world. So, I mean, we totally understand. We totally get it.
Yeah, like Los Angeles, lily white. 100% of people who live in here in LA are white. I hope you don't.
Ask Trump about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would think that.
It's not the most diverse country in the entire world. It's entirely white people.
This city is the most diverse in the world.
Yeah.
Actually, New Delhi may have it beat. There's a lot of different. You think of Indian people, but there's a lot of different types of Indian people.
Right. True.
They all live in New Delhi. It's very diverse. The more you know.
But I had heard that about Los Angeles. Somebody had said that Los Angeles was the most diverse city in the country, which is why I'm parroting it back.
It could be, and in the country is way different than in the world.
Well, I might have gotten my facts wrong.
Anyway, so where were we going with all of that?
I know where I was going.
No shithole countries.
Yeah. I don't really necessarily think of these places as shithole countries, but I rather think of things as like shithole people.
Yeah.
Or like shithead people. Like for instance, all the people who raised money for Haiti and then didn't do anything to help fix it are a bunch of shitheads.
Yep.
Rick Snyder, the governor of Michigan, who still has people in Flint without water or without clean water.
400 days now.
Shithead.
Yeah. By the way, Akon has given power and clean water to 10 million people in Africa.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Yeah.
What the fuck have you been doing in Africa? Every other charity for the last 25 years.
Or Matt Damon with his water charity.
Yeah.
Which is doing similar things.
I can't.
Where else was I going? Shit. Trump for obviously doing all the things that are ruining our country's reputation across the world. Shithead.
Yeah.
All the people who voted for FISA, shithead. All the people in the FEC or FCC who voted for net neutrality regulations, shithead.
And I'll just say,
I mean, we can go down the list. I wouldn't say that America is a shithole country because we have Trump and Snyder and the FCC and 65 Democrats who are voting for FISA and stuff like that. I would just say that we are a country that has a lot of wonderful people and a lot of wonderful places that's also filled to the brim with shitheads.
And I will say, having been to some very poor places in the world and in this country, if you think that, I don't know, El Salvador or Haiti is a shithole, I've been to the Dominican Republic, which shares an island with Haiti. It's very similar as far as wealth goes, and I've been out and seen the poverty. It looks very similar to rural Alabama or rural West Virginia or West Baltimore or most of Hawaii outside of Honolulu. Or you can find the same kind of poverty, the same kind of conditions in America. So if we're going to worry about shithole countries elsewhere, maybe we should realize that by that standard, we are, in fact, a shithole country as well. And we can't get rid of the shitheads who are running it. At least in Haiti, they kicked out Papa Doc and Baby Doc.
At the very least, I would say that with Trump's shithole comments, he's basically just coming specifically from a place of race.
Yeah.
He's judging the people based off of what they look like rather than who they are or what they're doing. And stuff like that.
Yep.
And I feel like we should hopefully in the coming months and years as we try and clean up from the mess that is Trump and the current situation that we're in. We start thinking about a thing like the homeless population here in LA is the worst I've ever seen.
Yep.
And all you have to do is drive through Tent City and see what's going on there. Meanwhile, at the same exact time, Apple is trying to figure out how to bring in $200 billion back into the country under a one-time exemption.
Right.
So they're trying to figure out how to spend $200 billion in a year so that they can have it tax-free. Yeah. Meanwhile, we're not trying to figure out how to keep, homeless veterans off the street or people with mental health issues or just any number of people who could be helped by a little bit of. If I'd said, Rob, I'm giving you $200 billion in carte blanche to help as many Americans as possible, do you think you would be able to
I'd help a few people.
do something positive with that money?
Yeah, I'd buy a lot of AK-47s and a lot of hand grenades. And maybe some.
You could also pay off everyone's college debt.
Oh, I don't care about that because we can make the college debt not exist anymore once we overthrow the country. That's the key.
Everyone to Delaware.
But I figured that there is a... Thanks, Fight Club. There are two great examples you use there, which reminds me that we need to take a trip on down to the Baltimore corner.
Where you get the straight dope?
Absolutely. So you talked about a homeless veteran freezing and people with mental health care being out on the street.
Yeah.
Both of which happened in the city of Baltimore this week.
Yeah.
Homeless veteran literally kicked out of the Veterans Hospital and then froze to death that night on the street. A few days later, University of Maryland Medical Center is shown wheeling out a mentally ill woman in a hospital gown to the bus stop.
Yeah.
When it's 18 degrees at night.
Yeah.
And then leaving. And she was only found because someone happened to be walking by as they were wheeling her out.
Yeah.
This is the situation of your fair city. More importantly, I mean, treating people not as humans is the worst, but there have been 11 murders in 12 days, possibly 12 in 13 days. We're waiting for a confirmation on one of those murders that happened today, or one of the shootings that happened today.
Yeah.
But 11 murders in 12 days.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, sounds like an appalling number, and it is, but really just puts us on track for 340 murders again.
That's the first point I made to you. We're basically just at 340.
But as I said to you, keep in mind that summer is murder time, so really we need to be low going into
the winter.
summer.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you want to
makes
have
up
less of a number in the winter so that when summer murders hit, you're not going too high. You're not
USA.
when the summer murder crop hits.
Greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
We are discussing how to make sure we don't hit the high in murders again, because we know summer's going to be a little murdery. So let's keep it low in the winter.
It's going to be a little stabby in the summer. We gotta make sure.
They don't stab anybody; they shoot people.
Well,
but yeah. So that's America. By the way, this is qualifies you as a shithole country.
I feel like if there's anything really alarming about the crime stats in Baltimore, it's the transition from stabbing to shooting.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned by like looking through the numbers a little bit is that we used to be a very stabby city. We used to stab people and walk away, and that's how most of the murders would happen. But clearly, there were shootings too. I'm not trying to minimize that. But stabbings used to be the number one way to kill somebody in Baltimore. Now, it's gunshots all day.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it's not just one gunshot, it's multiple gunshots, because you don't want to leave. I mean, realistically, if you're trying to shoot to kill somebody, you're not going to just let them bleed out on the street. You're going to make sure that you get a headshot in or two before you leave them, so you know they're dead.
And don't want to leave any witnesses.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Anybody there who sees it gots to go.
Yeah.
But I just... Can we, like... I feel with Trump and the shithead stuff, we've all gotten to the same point where we're just like, clearly this is a bunch of cowards in Congress who are just trying to keep this going so Trump's pen can sign their shit.
Yeah, and who are retiring so they don't care.
Yeah. So we're not getting rid of Trump because they couldn't be bothered to. But everybody sort of knows he's doing a terrible job.
Yep.
I feel like we should have the same sort of logic that goes into Catherine Pugh for different reasons. I don't think Pugh is as alarmingly stupid as Trump is.
She's quiet. She
She's
doesn't
quiet.
talk. They're opposites in that.
Yeah, they're different in that regard. I think to me it seems like Catherine Pugh is a perfectly nice lady who has the best of intentions and is way the fuck in over her head.
Yeah.
And has no idea what to do. She's sinking fast and she can't swim fast enough to get to the top. And she's just going to exert too much effort until she sinks to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And dies. I mean, like that. There's no, like, and she clearly thinks that at some point this is going to turn for her. But I don't. Somebody's got to sit her down and just be like, you got to go somewhere. You got to
step down.
Figure this out. Let's let's begin a brand new day initiative where we try and just clear out all the shitty people and bring in.
Before she steps down, though, let's make somebody else the head of the Baltimore City Council, and then have her step down.
Well, I think they should all just go. That's the problem.
Well,
I mean, like, Jack Young isn't doing anything. And
would the city be any worse if we fired all the police and the mayor and council? Are they doing that much that we would really notice a difference?
I think the murders would spike
Okay.
if we got rid of the police, because there would be sort of a purge element of it.
Sure.
Where it's like, there's no rules, let's just do it kind of aspect of it. But I mean, like,
You
I don't think
that that's stopping them now.
No, but I mean, like, I feel like at the very least, you still have to be, if you're going to murder somebody in Baltimore right now, you still have to cover your tracks a bit. You don't want to leave yourself completely exposed, you know?
Like leaving shell casings in a body in the street, which is what they do every single time. Shell casings that, by the way, your thumbprints on from when you fed them.
But
I'm saying
if you were, not that I'm saying you will, but if you were to go out and murder some people, you would take steps. You would take some steps to try and cover your tracks a bit, right?
I would, but I also wouldn't shoot them in the street.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm saying you would go through the bare minimum number of steps you can to cover up who you are so you can't get caught.
Right. Number one is you don't kill people in anger, which is how most of the murders in Baltimore happen.
But if there was a purge and you could just kill whoever you wanted and it didn't matter,
right,
then you wouldn't care about covering up your tracks.
Right, but you're putting a level of logic that's not in it. Right now, murders are happening because people get angry and kill each other in the street.
Right.
That's not going to change if there's a purge or not. In fact, people may be more wary because there will be more people with guns on the street.
True.
And what have I always said
Stay in your homes.
What have I always said about gun control? If you have 9 out of 10 people who have a firearm on them, what do you think happens to the crime rates? Like robbery.
Goes down.
Right, because the likelihood is your likelihood of meeting someone with a gun goes up, your likelihood of committing a crime goes down. That's what the statistics tell us. So, nonetheless. But a shining light, possibly, in the aura of Maryland politics, news today, there is a new candidate for Senate in Maryland.
Yeah. You remember everything?
You hear Corey's excitement.
Well, you remember everything we said earlier about how Oprah is so popular right now, and then all of a sudden she starts saying things, and then she's not as popular anymore?
Yeah.
I imagine we're going to have a very similar situation with this next
So
this next story.
If you haven't seen the news, Chelsea Manning has filed to run for Senate against Ben Cardin in Maryland.
Yeah.
Which means that Maryland seat has now become probably the most expensive Senate seat that will ever be purchased. Because let's be honest, they purchased it. But Ben Cardin has $6 million in the bank already, ready to go.
I don't imagine. I don't think he's going to have as much trouble as you think.
I think she's going to raise a lot of money very fast.
She probably will, but I don't think the money matters if she's not a good candidate.
And you are assuming she's not a good candidate.
I don't know. All I know about Chelsea Manning is the story.
What story?
The story of her being
an American patriot?
Yeah.
And giving information to the people that they should have had all along.
Yeah.
The modern version of the Pentagon Papers, which is just what we watched last night on the Post.
Yeah. By the way, we spent an entire 2 hours watching the newsroom of the Washington Post going crazy over the government knew this whole time.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, in modern day America, it's just like,
of course they're lying to us.
Of course we know they're lying.
How much are they lying? That's the important thing. I mean,
they're spying on all Americans. I better tweet this immediately.
But yes, so you made the point that you don't think that she is a serious candidate.
Well, I didn't say she wasn't a serious candidate, and I don't think that
a serious threat.
I don't know if we can say she's a serious threat or not either. I'm just saying that I don't know.
No.
Oh.
Wiping off
I
the
thought you were
desk.
trying to give me like a little
No,
like
just wiping off
signal.
the desk. That's all.
I was like, we haven't confirmed what this means. I'm not saying that she won't be a good candidate or that she doesn't care or that she isn't doing this, that this isn't coming from a good place and stuff like that. I'm just saying that I don't know who she is really, like as a person. I don't know what she stands for. I don't know what her issues are.
Wait.
She's registered as a Democrat.
You don't know what she stands for. That's what your argument is. You have no idea
No,
what
I know-
political position she takes.
I know where she stands on the idea of military secrets.
Okay.
But, I don't know where she stands on, like what's her tax plan or what would be the ideal
Do senators come
education plan for her.
in? Do
or
senators come in with a tax plan or an education plan or anything like that?
you have a pretty good idea where they stand on these things.
What
though.
was Chris Van Hollen's education plan?
Prior to coming in?
Yeah.
My daddy told me a whole bunch of things about politics, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing.
Okay. So your point is that essentially Chelsea Manning is the exact same as Ben Cardin was when he ran for Senate, except for there is no Babs Mikulski to be like, hey, that's my guy.
Yeah.
There is no. She's exactly the same as Chris Van Hollen was. She is running against Paul Sarbanes, who is basically the prince of Maryland politics.
Yeah.
But so what you're saying is she's exactly the same as every other person who's run for Senate in Maryland.
If you told me, what's the name of that girl who's running against Andy Harris? Kristen something?
I have no idea.
Yeah, there's a girl running against. I don't
From
mean
the
to
Eastern
say,
Shore, by the way.
I don't mean to say girl. I don't want to make it sound like I'm being dismissive.
I'm
of it.
encouraging your pejorativeness. Go ahead.
There's a woman.
Corey at otheanthem.com, 443-219-7595.
There's a woman running for District 1 against Andy Harris, and she seems like she's nice, and I'm sure she has many platforms and beliefs and everything like that. And I just generally hate Andy Harris, so I enjoy anybody who's running against him.
Yeah.
But I don't know shit about her.
Right.
So I mean, right now, my support or my approval of her is good because she's not Andy Harris and she's running for Andy Harris's seat. So I like her like that. Just that much is all it takes for me to like her.
Yeah.
The second she says something like, well, Wall Street really doesn't get as much money as they deserve, then I'm like, oh, well, fuck you then too. Like,
Okay.
I don't know shit about Chelsea Manning other than her story. I've never heard her in an interview. I've never heard her speak. I've never heard her talk about the disenfranchisement of people or anything. I don't know anything about her. So right now, as she announces her campaign, she has the benefit of nobody really knowing shit except for her story, which, she got, what was it? The legal term for it.
Treason?
No. Had her sentence commuted.
Yes. Her
Yeah.
sentence commuted.
But I mean, like, that's all anyone knows about Chelsea Manning. And, it's not like Trump where we've had 30 years or 40 years of him talking to reporters or being on TV or being on Larry King or anything like that. Like, I've never seen Chelsea Manning speak. She's done interviews, you said. I've never seen them, but I mean, like that. She's not Oprah. Like where people know what she's about prior to stepping in. So I'm saying the odds of her winning from the outside, I'm not going to give great numbers to just because I don't know what kind of a campaign she's going to run.
What did you know about Chris Van Hollen before he ran?
Nothing. But
What did you know about Ben Cardin before he ran?
Nothing. But
Okay.
both of the Maryland politics, almost unlike any other state, really. Maybe New York. New York sort of has this going for them, where it's very like this is the royal family of
California?
California to a degree, but I mean it's not.
Mayor Garcetti?
Yeah, but that's one example. Think of other, I mean, like in New York you had the Cuomos, and then before that you had the Roosevelts, and before that you had the Vanderbilts, and you had these political families which stretched outward, and the LaGuardias and everything like that. And in Maryland, it's not, the names aren't as recognizable, but I'm saying like you have the Van Hollens, you have the Sarbanes, and you have the Rawlings and Townsends, and there's a whole bunch of like sort of like made families within Maryland that have somehow managed to produce candidates throughout many generations.
Yeah.
And there's the a big part of like why people like Sarbanes and Cardin get into seats is because people like Barbara Mikulski say, like I approve of this person, and then that the approval of the queen is all that it requires for you to move beyond the gulf into becoming a candidate. You know, like
here's what I'll say about that. We fought a war 220 years ago so that we would stop this fucking bullshit.
Say what?
So how about we stop it? And I will say I know just as much about Chelsea Manning now and her political life as I did about Chris Van Hollen before he started, or anyone he ran against, by the way, in the Democratic primary. I knew just as much about Ben Cardin or anyone he ran against in the Democratic primary. And by the way, for those who don't really know, the Democratic primary is basically the race. I'm sure there will be a Republican, but in the end, I think it's been a Democratic senator seat since 1960.
You need to have such an alarmingly bad candidate on the Democratic side for the Republican to really have a chance.
Yeah, same for governor.
It's the same logic as in Alabama, but not as strong.
Yeah.
The reason why Doug Jones won was because he was a really good candidate and Roy Moore was such a horrible candidate. Yeah. And it bridged the gap, and he barely won. But I mean, like even when Hogan won, it wasn't a huge sweeping majority. He barely won. But the reason why is because Anthony Brown was a lieutenant governor who nobody ever saw, nobody ever heard him speak. He didn't actually do anything campaign related until about like a week before the election when he realized he might lose. Yeah. He didn't debate. He didn't do shit. Nope. He assumed he was going to become governor and didn't feel like the need was out there for him to go muck up the waters by saying things.
And like invading Russia, he hadn't learned the lesson of Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, who did the exact same thing after Paris Glendenning stepped down against Bob Ehrlich.
To be fair, though, Kathleen Kennedy actually, I think Brown decided to shut the fuck up and stay out of the light because of how Kennedy Townsend fell.
That's true.
Because she felt like let's say the numbers are roughly 60-40. Like Kennedy Townsend had like a 60% lead over Ehrlich's 40.
Yeah.
She'd find it dip a little bit, as it does in politics. So she'd go down to 55, and then all of a sudden she'd say something to try and save it, get it back up to 60. But in that moment, in trying to save it, she'd do worse damage. Yeah. She'd fall to 50, and she'd be like, oh, holy shit, what do I do? I'm going to do something else. 45. Oh my God, what the fuck? Why does this keep happening? More. 40. And then eventually, it's 40-40, and she's panicking the fuck, and she doesn't know what she's doing, and Robert Ehrlich looks like he's just like a regular guy who... Yeah, technically he's a Republican, but I mean, like he's a Republican in the sense that most people in Maryland are.
He's like a very liberal Republican. Yeah.
He's a Democrat who just thinks that the corporations deserve a little bit more money than they currently get. But I'm saying Kennedy Townsend kept bombing her own campaign constantly. Yeah. Anthony Brown's just like, I'm not fucking myself up. I'm just going to stay quiet in the corner.
It's going to be a slow roll down towards 50.
It's going to be a slow roll towards 50, but as long as I get 50, I'm fine. Yeah. And then it was 51-50 or 51-49 Hogan. And he's just like, oh, fuck. And I mean, like, at least for Hogan, he's fairly popular for a Republican governor in Maryland. And I think that...
especially on the Western Shore where he dropped the bridge toll, so all you assholes who drive to the beach every weekend don't have to pay as much.
Thank you. I went to go visit Maxon, and it costs less money than it should.
Definitely less than it should, yes.
I think that's the more interesting... there hasn't been a single... Name one Democrat in the race for Maryland governor who has any kind of cachet, has at least the same amount of cachet as Bradley, fuck, why did I forget her name? Chelsea Manning.
Oh, in the race for Senate?
No, for the governor.
Oh, Rocky Cunningham.
The one who dropped out? Maya Rocky Moore Cummings?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. I mean, there's nobody really running for governor who has any kind of name value or... Yeah. So we'll see. You know, I mean, it's like Hogan's the known commodity, much like Cardin's the known commodity. Yeah. And we have a whole bunch of people who we don't know about, who we're going to learn about getting into the race. The only problem is that Chelsea Manning has a name value.
But we do know Cardin has a voting record now, and some things that, like you say, we should hold him to account for.
Yeah. Oh, by all means. Listen, at some point, you're going to have to vote for a less than desirable. There is going to be the people who are in Adam Schiff's constituency, they're going to have in his district, they're going to have to figure out whether or not they want to vote for a Republican who has, these 15 things that they disagree with, or Adam Schiff who has this one thing that they disagree with. And where's the line? If they're both going to vote for it, you might as well vote for the guy who closely aligns your... It's the Hillary problem. Like, everyone's just like, I just don't want to fucking vote for Hillary. Like, you've eliminated half the number of candidates that you're going to vote for just by saying you don't like her.
Keep in mind, there is always a third option. Guillotines.
Or, vote for me. Or Rob. One of us.
I'd probably be the better choice. Honestly, just, vote for me. Dictator for life.
Well, if you want to send money to our hypothetical campaign fund... OTheAnthem.com. Corey at OTheAnthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. And more of me, you can find my CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com. You can find Corey Baker Filmmaker on Facebook at Corey Baker Film. And me on all the other social networks at LegendCB5, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And please, 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 if you care for me at all, just subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'm trying to get enough people to subscribe to it so that I can get personal branding and stuff like that. So that would be a huge help. And even if you don't care to listen to the videos, but you'll give me a subscribe, that would be so much appreciated.
And, of course, you can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can find links to my political blog, Found in the Future, .us, the news website at deaddrop.com, and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
Thank you, sir. Also, just to pitch myself a little bit, make sure you can check out my YouTube channel. We have new videos going up every single week. And if you are really feeling spunky and you want to support, be like all of the people who this week have signed up as a birthday gift to me and have become supporters on Patreon. That's Patreon, patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, where you can get way more bonus material, and I might actually start putting up some of the old O The Anthem bonus material too, because now it's just sitting there not doing anything. So
let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good, but as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Hey, real quick, mic's off. Why do we only get listeners from shithole countries?
Because you're a huge racist.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, my God.